starts with you, only you. A cosmic dance, the truth so true. From the ether to the earthly plane, all you seek, you can attain. The quantum flow, the light you hold, creates the story that will unfold. Every thought and step you make, the universe is yours to take. It starts with you, the mirror's hue, infinite skies reflecting you. From the void, you birth the light. Through the shadows, your soul takes flight. The winds will shift, its timeless bend. Every cycle begins again. Your energy builds, it flows, it streams, aligning rims, igniting your dreams. Each vibration, each sacred sound, a universe moves resound. You are the spark, divine and true, illuminating. It's all you do. Just remember, it starts with you, the mirror's hue, infinite skies reflecting you. From the void, you birth the light. Through the shadows, your soul ignites. The path within, the path divine. Through space, your world aligns. Every rise, every fall, you're connected to it all. It starts with you, the quantum view, manifesting dreams like the morning dew. From the stillness, creation flows. Through the darkness, your spirit moves. It starts with you, only you. Through dimension, through the veil, the sacred truth, and you prevail. Now infinite, clear, and true, this road ahead, it's made for you. It all begins and ends with you. Even the chaos, through the flame, you rise anew, never the same. Every heartbeat, every sign weaves your essence, soaring high. The cosmos bends to your command. Creation blooms within your hand. It starts with you, only you, only you. It starts with you.
Get into space, family. We doing this thing tonight. Again. Topic tonight, up yonder. I keep saying this, you don't want to miss this one. We're just going to say that for everyone moving forward. Don't miss it. Because if you do, you're going to miss something important. If y'all didn't know, I don't think I told y'all. That's me on that interlude from Rodney's album. I guess that's what they call it now. Rodney's album of Pep Pretend. It starts with you. So y'all get in this space. Y'all come in. Let's get these disclosures on the way. And we're relaxing. We're chilling. We're repping the brand today, Mental Blackdown. So y'all come in and hold space so we can just share the space with one another. So let's get into these disclosures. I share my own personal experiences on my journey to healing. I am not a licensed professional, nor do I claim to know everything. I do this for entertainment purposes. So if it don't apply, let it fly. If some apply and some don't, eat the meat and spit out the bones. If all of it applies, eat it all and apply the knowledge. Y'all come in and say hello as y'all get in the building. We're going to get these intentions on the way. And we'll get this thing started. I want to see why I can't see the comments. Let me see. I know y'all haven't made anything yet, but it looks different than it used to look. So before I get started and get set and get on my flow, I want to make sure that I can see it. Okay. All right, let me pin that. And let me do one more thing. Welcome in. We're going to hold some space today. All right, y'all, hold on. I'm almost done. Oh, I just seen my block list. I got a lot of people on there. Yeah, welcome in the space. We're gonna get started. Y'all just have to say something when you come in so I can see you. But I wanted to try to make sure that I can see when y'all come in. I couldn't see that last time, and that bugged me. And I didn't think about it until just right now. Y'all hold your horses just a second. Okay, we're gonna go in. Y'all just say hello as y'all get in the building. Let's get started with these intentions. Get that on the way. All right, let's get these intentions on the way. So I invite you to stand in the space. Let's take a deep breath as we go on the journey of unfolding. And on this journey, I release the illusion that my way is the only way. And we refuse to keep building our lives on fragments, on fear, on survival patterns. For too long, I've been choosing my way, calling it protection. But really, it's isolation, it's pride, it's ego, it's pain. But we're not here for that tonight. We stand in the lineage of ancestors who understood that the way included balance, truth, righteousness, and I honor the collective. I surrender the selfishness that separates me from my wholeness. And I align with the understanding that the way is about what heals the collective, not just what comes from me. The way is about balance, even when my wounds want chaos. The way is about building futures, not feeding those old fragments. Because when I force my way, I betrayed the we. I betray myself. But when I choose the way, I become part of restoring that wholeness. And in that knowing, I move different. I lead different. I live different. Because this ain't just about me. But I recognize in that it starts with me and yours starts with you. And I say tonight, and so it is. Welcome in. Topic tonight is Up Yonder. Let's get into it tonight. Welcome into the space where it starts with you, where there's no shame, blame, or judgment. However, we do hold ourselves and one another accountable, and we don't run from truth over here. Last week, we unpacked the topic of keep a living, and I've been holding space with that. I've been thinking about that conversation ever since. And if you wasn't tuned in, go back and watch it. If you was tuned in, you should know. Living ain't just breathing, it's alignment. Existing ain't enough. But some of us, we haven't been living at all. But what we have been doing is keeping alive, keeping cycles going, keeping fantasies, keeping your comfort and dressing it up as control. But it was beautiful. But tonight we're expanding. We're going further to the topic of up yonder. And we're cracking this thing open tonight. Woo! Child, this one vexed my soul so hard because we're perishing for the lack of knowledge. Y'all out here lying to folks. Yes, I said lying. Because if you don't have awareness that you're doing this, a lie is still a lie. It's still a lie, whether it's conscious or not. And me, I'm not the one that's going to be quiet about it. And I'm not. So tonight I came to have the conversation. We've been sold a fantasy of living. And tonight I'm flipping the fantasy on its head. Because we've been lying in a fairy tale and calling it faith. Now let me tell on myself before I tell on anybody else. I've been a dreamer my whole life. Not the cute, I believe in myself kind of dreamer. No, that ain't it. The seeing things, feeling things, knowing things before they happen kind of dreamer. Nobody told me dreams are symbolic. They bubble up from your subconscious, your soul. They expose what's real, ready or not. But I wasn't ready. My dreams, they got heavy. My grandmother, Rosa Lee, my ancestor, we're going to say, oh, I shade to her. Rest in power, God. She put that heaven and hell narrative in me. And it flipped my whole inner world. I dreamed about hell, chambers of judgment and punishment. And as a kid, that wasn't a fantasy, that was reality to me. But what I didn't realize is that fantasy and dreams ain't the same. And we're going to unpack that tonight. Fantasy, that's your mind's way of constructing illusions to avoid what you don't want to face. And dreams, that's your soul's way of handling it. It hands you the blueprint for what's happening beneath the surface. And I didn't quite understand that. So I got scared. I dimmed down. I stopped dreaming as much. I took the blue pill, Matrix style. I slid straight into survival mode because my fantasy became safer than my reality. See, religion mastered the pimping fantasy. Dangling up yonder in your face, in our face, while you suffer down here. Got you praying on earth as it is in heaven. But your earth looks like hell. And heaven is still pending. But y'all still singing about up yonder. Let's walk this down real plain. Before we get too deep, yonder comes from the English word geon, meaning distant, apart, or over there. Middle English called it unreachable. Yonder means unreachable. But the church flipped it into heaven and promoted it. Translation for that, Ty, up yonder ain't a location, it's a distraction. I'm going to be saying that throughout tonight. It was a linguistic trick to sell you suffering now for a maybe later. And you can take fantasy, plug it into your reality, and now you loyal to the lie, but acting it out in real life. How did that show up in my life? Watch this. You say, I'm called to preach. And that's what we're going to be unpacking today. This is how we're going to start examining ourselves. You say, I'm called to preach. But where did that calling come from? Not your soul, your conditioning. You don't know that, Miss Ty. Yes, I do. Now I do. You got whole ministers preaching, people preaching and prophesying, laying hands off of this illusion It's spiritual inception. Fantasies inside of fantasies. And you live in fantasy, acting it out in reality, dreaming about it. And the lines get blurred. You don't know what's real from what's a fantasy. Tonight we unpacking that. Fantasies are dreams. I said they are not the same. See, fantasies don't carry emotions because it's disconnected from your body, your nervous system, your truth. But dreams hit different. And to me, it didn't stay a story, it became my reality. After that, my dreams got heavy. Y'all hear me? I told this story so many times before about those visions of judgment and punishment and damnation. I went to hell in my dream. And in my young mind, that wasn't a fantasy. I couldn't get that to be a fantasy because it seemed so real. But when she introduced that narrative, that was truth to me, or at least the truth I had, the emotional capacity to process. And what happens when a child dreams collide with fear? Your imagination dims. And because of that, I stopped dreaming as much. And I stopped paying attention to the messages in the dreams that I did have. And what I realize now, you can take fantasy and plug it into your reality. Come on, Matrix. They are hiding it in plain sight. And now you're living loyal to that fantasy, but acting it out in the real world. Ty, how does that show up in my life? For those of you that saying you called to preach, I'm talking to you tonight. And I want you to hold space. Look, here's this circle. Circumference of awareness. We're going to be tapping and going, running all up and through the areas that you don't know or that you're claiming you don't know. But first, let me pin that. I'm going to come back to that. Let me show you how living loyal to a fantasy shows up. Welcome in the space, family. Come in and hold space with me tonight. But my brain started prohibiting safety over, or prioritizing safety over reality. And my body started choosing fantasy over facts. And I know that because I lived in a hypervigilant state, constantly scanning for danger, looking around all the time, afraid to go anywhere, afraid to do anything. Because I was scanning for that rejection or that pain. And when reality starts to feel too heavy and unpredictable, I escaped into my fantasies because I could control my world, my inner world. And because fantasy felt safer than my reality, I opted to go to the safe route, that I designated for myself so I could decide the outcome. I avoided the unknown. This is why I would never date someone I didn't know. I got so fascinated with, it's got to be somebody I know, even though it is somebody I know. I didn't know what that divine premonition was. Because if I did this, I was more likely to avoid the hurt, the heartbreak, for being vulnerable, for wanting to attach the way I chose to. I wanted to securely attach, and I didn't want to be in a vulnerable space of somebody that I didn't know because I couldn't control that. So I thought I would get to rewrite the part of my life that hurt too much. But there was a glitch in that program. The longer I lived in that fantasy, the harder it was to tell what was real and what wasn't. My body still felt emotions. Your mind still constructs meaning, but the foundation is shaky and the trauma blurs the lines between what happened, what I feared, and what I fantasized. I was my subconscious saying, if I can't trust reality to feel safe, I'll just create my own. Welcome in, Simatawi, doctor. I'm repping to the Men of Black down tonight. But eventually that fantasy collapsed. But back to you. I woke up stuck, confused, doubting my instincts, questioning my emotions because my nervous system was living in survival for too long. And that trauma trained your mind to survive. And not clearly, but to the preachers that saying they were called. I'm gonna get back to you. You got people building entire lives, whole ministries off this book of fantasy. They go around preaching and prophesying and laying hands, but they're doing it from a downloaded illusion. Look, they say, on one hand, I'm called to preach. I got a special anointing on my life. And you need to respect this. So I won't answer to my name no more. But God has no respect of person. Not only that, I thought it was poured out on all flesh. And respect is earned. So I'm going to call you how I see you. Oh, ye hypocrites. You know what's crazy? In fantasies, the goalposts keeps getting moved because the fantasy ain't rooted in reality. It's rooted in control. But see, in real life, I'm saying life because I'm making a distinction. Say it the right way, Ty. Life, not real life. Thank you. You don't need permission, Ty. That's a part of the fantasy too. In life, there's consequences. Accountability, there's discomfort. But in fantasy, you get to rewrite the rules anytime reality gets too close. You said one day I'll be healed, but the fantasy lets you push that day on further every time. You get to push it out when that healing don't come. That's how you can walk out the church and the pastor say you healed. But in reality, the doctor report saying something different. And then you say it's God timing. Since you in a fantasy. You said God gonna send my spouse. He gonna send me my Boaz. And fantasy lets you delay your own healing while blaming divine timing. Since you fantasizing, you 40 now. Your value is decreasing. And that is not a fantasy. You getting older. Men incline. Women, we decline with age. That's facts. That's reality. Y'all better get it together. You said, when I'm ready, I'll change. Fantasy lets you never lets you be ready and still feel justified. Fantasy allows you to move the goalposts to protect that ego that sits inside of you. Welcome in, Teddy. We're going to pack them egos soon. But reality plants the goalpost in this solid foundation to grow your character. That's why people stay loyal to their own fantasies. It feels safer there to keep shifting the finish line. It's comfort in that rather than face where you really are. So I ask, where did the calling come from, Pastor? Where did it come from? Not reality. I can tell you that for sure. But from obsession, from ego. Fantasy, they couldn't separate from their dreams. You keep talking about take it from a dreamer. It's like spiritual inception. You live in a fantasy, act it out in your own reality. And that's why you're having them dreams. And those lines are blurred. And the church, they mastered this hustle. Family, they mastered this. This ain't new. Religion been selling fantasies for centuries. Be careful with that. Be careful that calling might just be conditioning. That fire that they telling you is shut up in their bones. Fantasy. You and I was talking about this today. How every story we heard about pastors being called had some sort of fire or some sort of had some sort of never voluntary or not a voluntary act in it. That ain't never made y'all curious? Why all the stories that they give us was I was on my deathbed. I was lying in my bed one night and God woke me up. I couldn't go to sleep because I was thinking to myself and God showed me. You ain't never thought about that? I did. Because I could have easily mistaken the things that was showed up in my space as a calling. But I'm curious now. Could it be your spiritual ego? And if you ain't mindful, you walking around thinking you holy. And ain't nothing about that holy. When all along you got this fire story or some fear-based testimony tied to your calling. Because fear was your gateway drug. See, it's strategic. Let me tell you why. The human nervous system is wired to remember trauma stronger than it remembers peace. Fear burns an imprint in your psyche. It feels powerful, it's urgent, and it's divine. It can be taken that way. And religion took that and pimped that psychology. So your calling gets you attached to chaos and not clarity. And God is not an author of confusion. So you have that dream or experience like Ty did, and you say, I almost died. Then God called me. I was in them streets. And then I heard the Lord. I had fire shut up in my bones and I couldn't hold it in. It's always some life or death moment, some emotional breakdown, some fear of hell, punishment, or not being chosen. Always. But let me translate that dream or experience for you. Just call me the dream catcher. I'm going to be the dream catcher. I'm trying to put you on. Let me translate it for you. The calling got wrapped up in your trauma. It wasn't alignment, but because trauma feels intense, you confused it with divine instruction. Why do you think most testimonies ain't grounded in peace? It's pressure based, it's fear based, it's performative, and it keeps the church running on adrenaline, not that alignment. Bottom line, religion trained folks to believe if you didn't almost lose your life, God ain't called you. If you didn't feel the fire, fear, or breakdown, your testimony ain't valid. But God ain't nowhere in that. And I'm not talking about something outside of you. I'm talking about you're getting so in your ego. You won't even answer to your name. I can't do it. I can't, and I won't do it. I don't have an issue with leadership, but it has to be righteous. If I'm wrong, it don't matter who or what I'm talking about. If I'm not standing in righteousness, my accountability will stop everything and call me on my shit. My Rue, my accountability partner, he will call me on it and I receive it. It ain't hard. I mean, it ain't easy to receive it. because he has integrity that some of you wouldn't even believe. And I have to check myself so many times about that. Because when I was first popping out, I was operating purely in ego. And even though y'all was running that man off, trying to at least, listen, my ego was so tough, I wanted to get y'all for him. But he never compromised his integrity on y'all behalf. Because trust me, I used to want to eat y'all lunch all the time. All the time, I was like, eat them up, Pooh. And I could have. But it wasn't coming from an authentic, and I was coming from a projected place. I was coming from doing it my way. And he would correct me on it. So you have to be mindful, be careful, because they're telling you it's a calling and it's a fantasy. Topic tonight, up yonder. That calling, they explain it to you is conditioning from their trauma. That's what I just said. All you have to do is ask them their experience and watch. It all aligns with what I'm saying. Some of them already told you the story, so you already know I ain't lying. The church has mastered programming your nervous system to respond to the fantasy. And if you ain't mindful, you'll be walking around thinking you holy too. And all the time you trapped in a fantasy. But what I've been noticing, because I've been paying attention, and if you pay attention, you can see it too. These pastors are walking around saying some of y'all, they said some of the shit Ty and Dr. Almighty Simbatawi been on. I find it so interesting how they keeping it real now. What was they doing before? What was they doing before? And I'm jamming too. I got my vibe going. I always tell y'all it's so slow, but it gets good. Turn it down. What was y'all doing before? But Ty don't wanna Ty won't stay quiet. I see you. There is no exemption. I stand on righteousness, period. And y'all letting the pastors talk about titties now in the church. Now they conflicted whether to pray for a person's soul or they titties. I know you lying, Ty, and I ain't. I'm not. I know you're gonna say it's the truth, Ty. These women ain't dressing modest. They showing up with their titties out. What happened to come as you are? What happened to that? Y'all was making that relevant when you wanted to apply for you. It was applicable then. There you go, moving the goalposts again. Instead of just saying that you're convicted with your nature, accountability. It showed up something in me. So please don't wear that. If you playing for somebody's soul and you're righteous about it, should nothing turn you away from God, including them double D's. Y'all better stop playing. You're trying to incorporate it, but you can't because you're still stuck in fantasy. And that's the difference between us. They not like us, Ty. And I know. Let me be real. It's authentic. And it's not staged. The way I show up is authentically who I am. Speaking up for righteousness. Speaking up when I see you doing wrong. Nobody had to tell me that. And if you got awareness to tell somebody you ain't staging nothing, it's staged. And if you still falling for that, if your fantasy is wrapped up in your pastor, you ain't got no favor with God because your loyalty ain't the truth. It's the fantasy, and your pastor is the dealer. I'm going to break this down bold. Y'all quoting, absent from the body is present with the Lord. But let me give you the metaphysical. Let me get to you the metaphysical breakdown of that thing. Absent from the body means you checked out of your own reality. It means your mind drifted so far from fantasy, you ain't even present in your own vessel. You went into the fantasy instead of going into reality and said to yourself, get your shit together. Come on here, Pooh. You floating around in delusions. And meanwhile, the real work is happening in reality. That's the demon that you need to face. You don't need to scapegoat and blame it on them. It's never somebody else. It's always you. It's always you. I can't take it. So what do I need to do inside me to fix this? In your nervous system, in your choices, in your alignment. That's what's going on. Notice. But your pastor keep moving the goalposts, shouting about blessings and favor. Next level. But notice, his next level don't match yours. I guarantee you it don't. All I have to do is listen to you talk. Why is that, Ty? Because he's not in survival mode with money and finances. You're the one in survival mode. You can't pay your bills. Why is he not in survival mode? He got y'all funding his comfort while sitting in chaos. They know, Ty. They know you telling the truth about them tithes. So now they gotta tell their congregation. Something different. How it's supposed to work now. We was wrong before. And if that's the case, get the money back. Why don't you get the money back? Get that money back that you collected under those false pretense that you saying that you was wrong about for all them years. I dare you. I bet you won't do it. Let's call it what it is. The pastor is living off your fantasy and you broke. But they blessed. That ain't alignment. That's spiritual pimping. Say what you want. And listen, keep playing in fantasy if you want to. Not me. But know this. That's the agenda of white supremacy. The only difference is it's dressed up in Sunday best. It keeps the people doped up in hope. Shouting about up yonder. Doc said, y'all in La La Land. He ain't lying. And he ain't. What is it going to take? Y'all be serious. What will it take? How much heartbreak, how much loss, how much disappointment you have to take to endure before you say this shit ain't adding up? Stop outsourcing your power to the pulpit. Stop living in that fantasy that they profiting off of. Because the favor, it's in the waking up. That's enough for now, Pooh. Okay, I'm gonna circle back, y'all. Y'all gonna mess around and make me go back in. Put my foot on them necks. But anyway, let's keep going, Ty. We're gonna expand. Because we yet not understand. Here's the deal. Let's go back. This fantasy they gave us, this hell fantasy. The Old Testament was written long before Rome ever touched Christianity. And in that text, they prophesied of a Messiah. But a Messiah just means an anointed one, a leader, a liberator. At that time, they had leaders, they had liberators. So this wasn't nothing new. He never spoke of a specific man named Jesus. So what happened? Let me explain, not explain. Let me explain. Let's call a thing a thing. The Roman Empire did what empires do. They colonized the narrative. See, back then there was movements popping off. People were teaching about Kemet. There was African spirituality, spiritual systems, and ancestral knowledge floating around. This ain't no fantasy. This is documented. Go and look it up. Unlike your fantasy book that was tampered with so many times, I done lost count. But what they were teaching was about Kemet and that spirituality. It was a danger to the system that they was trying to usher in. You said usher in. And because of knowledge, the knowledge that has the ability to unchain your minds and make you not easy to be duped. So they started to silence those voices. They killed those messengers. And they went on a rampage. Anybody that would subscribe to what Ty and Dr. Simmatawi and the other woke people believed in, they were killing those people. And they were taking their material so they could steal the blueprint. And they took that material and they rebranded those teachings as their own. Go and look it up, the Council of Nicaea. That's when Rome got strategic with it. They organized this material that they took. They edited it. They canonized it. They took fragments of our story. Our story. Now, Ty, that still ain't right. Her story. I like that too. Those prophecies, that ancient wisdom, they took it and plagiarized it. And they blended it with their political agenda. And out come Jesus as the centerpiece of that agenda. And don't get me wrong, there's wisdom in the Jesus story. There's wisdom, let me change that. There's wisdom in the Jesus allegory. But make sure I'm transparent when I say that. But the issue is, not only did they strip it from the African roots and silence Kemet out of it, they made it look like this figure just popped out of nowhere. And now there's the New Testament. When really, they buried the ancient context beneath control. There goes that word again, control. That's how I know it's a fantasy. Jesus wasn't mentioned by name anywhere in the Old Testament because the structure wasn't built yet. It was built after to create an allegiance to the empire. They had this doctrination that they wanted to approve. And they kept it clever. They were surgical with that thing. Kemet's concept of divine resurrection, they gave that to Jesus. Now all of a sudden he's born of a virgin. Here on It Starts With You, we unpacked that story and where that story was stolen from many, many years before Jesus even came about. And they got documentation of it. They took Ma'at's principle of truth and balance and accountability. They took spiritual science and encoded it inside religious rules, then handed it back to the masses as salvation. But you can't only get that salvation if you do it their way, your way. the church's way with their control. Go and look it up. So now I'm here. I got questions. I got a lot of questions for y'all. Topic tonight up yonder. Tell me again where yonder is. Somebody put it in the chat. Somebody inbox it to me. Where exactly is yonder? I had to say it again because up yonder it doesn't have a location. And the Romans knew that. The church system knew that. It's in their curriculum. They twisted Sheol, Hades, and Tartarus, and they turned it into eternal flames. That ain't how it started. Go back to the origin, she says. If your heart is light, you live whole. If your heart is heavy, you got to face your own choices. But this burn forever fairy tale was not in that. It was not in it. We have to snatch our awareness off of fantasy mode. Bring it back to what is real. Because living, it starts when the illusion dies. And I'm not saying this to judge you. Some of you I am. Some of you I am. I'm judging you with all of that foolishness. I know you're saying, judge not unless you be judged. I know what? If I'm doing and saying some of the foolishness like y'all saying, judge me. I mean, hold me accountable 100%. And I'm giving you this so that you don't spiritually suffocate in somebody else's fantasies. This doesn't belong to you. They took those roles because of the fantasy and the illusions that it creates. Since I'm on it, let me tell you what. Fantasies create pastors who become pawns for oppression in the system. Instead of freeing the people, they keep them doped up on this false hope. Because people down deep, they still chasing their own fantasies, family. These pastors come into the ministry chasing their own fantasies. Don't tell me it ain't true. I see it all the time, right in y'all faces. They're struggling with wounds. They can mess up and say shit, and all I got to do is ask for forgiveness, and I'm good. T.D. Jakes he said, even if I did do it, and y'all be right back under that spell. Oh, he confessed. All you got to do is confess. Lies. Repentance comes with changing and the ability to not do it again. That's what repentance is. Repentance is understanding that my flesh is weak. So let me work on me and see what's showing up on the inside of me. So I'm not tempted when they show up with their skirts up to their neighbors. So I got a list. Todd loves a list. Nobody's exempt over here. Nobody. When the pastor's wounds and struggles that make them fantasy driven, I got 10 things. And I guarantee your pastor will fall into one, if not one, multiple of these. So let's see what we got. Abandonment issues. Mama or daddy wasn't consistent. Now they're chasing validation from the pulpit, hoping the crowd fills that void. I know a couple of y'all I didn't point fingers at. What about childhood bullying or rejection? They were overlooked, teased, or made to feel small. So now they get a microphone and that makes them feel powerful and finally seen. Poverty trauma. They grew up broke. And the church now has become their guaranteed paycheck. They preach to survive, not to set people free. But I need an anniversary. I need a church anniversary. I need the sister, the first lady anniversary. I need all of these anniversaries because I know y'all gonna show up with y'all pocketbooks or y'all wallets. Number 4, trying to be the leader. Unhealed. Number 4, unhealed father and mother wounds. Trying to be the leader. They never had leading. They never had leading from emptiness, not alignment. Shame around their past. I messed up, felt disqualified. So they overcompensated by wearing the title heavy, proving that they worthy. I got something to prove. Number 6, abuse or exploitation history. If they were controlled, used, or manipulated, they may unconsciously repeat the cycle, controlling the congregation to avoid feeling powerless. And don't say y'all don't be doing it. Armor bearers, nigga. We got to do what the pastor say. Number 7, addiction to praise. They didn't get love growing up. Now they addicted to amen, applause, and being called and anointed or being celebrated. I just told you this lady come up with that ring, 35 years. I need 35 diamonds. It's happening. Imposter syndrome. Down deep, they don't feel equipped. So they perform harder. Fantasy style to mask the insecurity. You will know the unseen things from the things that I can see. I can identify with it because I know what it looked like in me. Number 9, fear of irrelevance. Oh, this is going to be good. Aging out. Losing influence. Being replaced. The fantasy of the chosen one. That status keep them clinging to control. Listen, that's why y'all coming up with, I could be a woman. I'm gonna pass this church on to my family members. Let me go and try to make peace with other people so I can get inside and I can influence from all other angles. I know I need to pass this baton on, but I'm gonna keep staying here because I can't risk losing what I need in my fantasy. So rather than sit down and I'm barely getting by, I can barely stand up. Welcome in, Dr. Simtower. Welcome in, Jakari. I'm still gonna keep going. I'm still gonna keep doing. Nobody's showing up to the church. I'm still gonna keep going. Number 10, religious indoctrination from childhood. When all you've known is the church, that's a survival. That fantasy gets rooted in your nervous system. You can't tell belief from programming. But see, when my imagination dimmed, I didn't just stop dreaming. I checked out. I didn't go around trying to mislead nobody. I entered into the matrix. Yeah, I know that sounds wild, and it sounds you just looking at these movies. Now you want to talk about the matrix, but sit with it. There's 2 pills in life. And what I mean by that, there's 2 directions. Red pill, the way. One direction is the way. When you stay in reality, you face your discomfort. You face those demons that lie within, and you don't blame it on nobody else. This comfort comes with abandonment. It comes with rejection. It comes with poverty, trauma. It comes with the unhealed father and mother wounds. It comes with shame around your past. It comes with addiction to praise, imposter syndrome. It comes with fear of irrelevance, religious indoctrination in childhood. When I'm rooted in reality, I can take accountability so I don't scapegoat. That's the first way. The second way is the blue pill, the one religion gave you. The fantasy, my way. And I'm saying my way, I mean your way, where you control the narrative to stay safe. Avoid the hard stuff that I just named off. I see right through you. I took the blue fantasy pill early, and so did you. Why? You know I'm gonna answer for me. And I guarantee you have similar, if not the same experience. Because my nervous system told me that I didn't want to go to hell. Hell was what I was thinking about. I was more fearful of going to hell than I was passionate about learning about God. This is why we shouldn't give these narratives to children. We baptizing babies, asking them to make decisions at such an age to dedicate their lives. And you're giving it to them before their prefrontal cortex even develops. And because of that experience, I crafted my whole life around being good enough, being saved enough, being holy enough. We unpack this. Hell wasn't always hell. They made it up. Go and look it up. You can verify that in history. Let me put a pin right here real quick. They know this. The curriculum is taught to them. And when they take the oath, they agree to preach certain stuff. That's why when Ty get on here saying some of these scriptures that you ain't never heard, it's because they can't and they won't. Let me give you the history before I move on. Because they flipped the script on us. It's the same shit your pastor doing. I say it in my opening. We hold ourselves and one another accountable. And I mean that. I say that with everything in me. And they doing it. All to fit the fairy tale, the fantasy that was handed to me and to you. But here's where the plot thickens. Leaving religion ain't just about switching your beliefs up. It's about grieving the narrative that shaped your fears. It shaped my identity, my entire sense of self. Some of y'all, all you know is the church. And it's hard to wake up from a fantasy that's all you know. Especially when the fairy tale or the fantasy told you who you are and what'll happen if you dare to stray. You get struck by lightning. It took me years to be comfortable with the things that I desired to say for a really long time. Some of y'all want to be there. Where they want to be, Ty, in the fantasy? Y'all want to be like Cypher. Y'all want to be like Cypher. I'm starting to be convinced of it. Because the fantasy world is easier. They playing in y'all faces. They know. But But the beautiful thing for me is the moment I started stepping outside of my fantasy of the matrix, my dreams started coming back. Not as punishment, but as an internal guide, as instruction, as my soul saying, welcome home, welcome back to you. But this time, let's listen different. My parts of me are saying, let's pay attention. Let's not disconnect. And let me connect the dots for you real quick. You are responsible for them. You are responsible for them dangling heaven on you while you're suffering. It sounds poetic, don't it? On earth as it is in heaven, as it is in heaven. But your earth looking like hell, sis. Brother, your earth looking like hell. And I know because I've been there. Who is they, Ty? I keep telling y'all, and I say y'all, I keep telling us, Constantine and the boys, legalize Christianity. Say it again for the people in the back. There was no burn in the fire forever. That's a fairy tale. That's a fantasy. That's what they pumping now. But you know how empires move? I told y'all this. But watch this. If you don't, let me show you one more time. The Council of Nicaea was one of the coldest rebranding campaigns in history. They standardized that narrative. Heaven and hell language. They made it a system of control. You can keep them obedient if you dangle heaven. It'll keep them scared if you threaten hell. That's game. Up yonder became a hustle, a distraction, a mythical place that says exist. They can't show it to you. So they gave it to you as a coping mechanism. And they wrap it up in scripture to make you tolerate the oppression. Right now, for a maybe, for a possibility, for a hopefully later. Look at this, for a one day. I like how you said that there, Ty. I like it too. So slow it down. Welcome to the Space Family topic tonight, Up Yonder. Because I want to walk this thing down for me and you. We're going to take our time. And I'm making good time. Boldly and apologetic with no fluff, I'm going to say it. You mean to tell me? And I want us to sit with this for a minute. Because when I say this next part, it's probably going to sting a little bit. But it's going to free somebody. You ever wonder why they say going up yonder instead of saying going up to heaven? That place they promised you after you die, where everything magical and good, your mansions, streets paved with gold, no more pain, no more bills, no more heartbreak. And you know what's crazy? What's so crazy to me is all this magic, these mansions, these streets paved with gold, no more pain, no more bills, no more heartbreak. You don't have to wait on that. On earth as it is in heaven. But because it's a tool, they pass that psychological survival code off to you. See, enslaved people couldn't own land. They couldn't rest. They couldn't live whole. They didn't have a choice, but you do. So are we going to do something about it? Escaping this reality that is so disturbing. Why would they go to these measures to keep you duped? Because hope is leashed. It's a leash that you never see coming. You'll never see them coming. And that's what they give you. Welcome in, family. Happy Sunday. When you're confused, they can control you. They can keep you controlled in your confusion. See, systems don't profit off free people, aware people, aligned people, woke people, people who recognize who they are, gods. They don't profit off people stuck in cycles, chasing fantasy of one day. They profit off of that. Doubting your own discernment, waiting for a up yonder. When you're duped, you'll tide your last dollar believing a blessing is coming. It was that yesterday. It was either yesterday or the day before. Pastor gave so many stories on how he was getting blessing after blessing because he was doing what thus said the Lord. But I guarantee you ain't considering it because he got it. He can give with a cheerful heart. Because he ain't working for it. You giving it to him. You'll stay in spiritual survival mode thinking struggle equals holiness, and it don't. But hear me and hear me well. Up yonder is a fantasy. I know I broke down fantasy before, but I got to bring it back one more again. One more again. It ain't no word. Yes, it is. I can make up my own words if I want to. One more again. And because it's necessary, sorry it took me so long to get to it, but I'm getting to it. So I got to play it back from this part. Y'all gonna have to go back and listen to it and then get the understanding. You have to watch it a couple times because it's full. I understand fantasy comes from the Greek word phantasia, meaning appearance, illusion, a thing made visible by the mind. Translation, it's not reality. It's not grounded living. Again, fantasy is what your mind constructs to avoid what you are too scared to confront. It's what your nervous system does to cope with when your reality hurts too bad. And here's what most won't say in the church, but I will. Fantasy is your avoidance. It's false hopes. I don't see nothing wrong with a fantasy. And it's not if you recognize what it is. And if you're in touch with your reality and you can distinguish the two. And I use fantasy all up and through my life. Out of touch with reality. That's how I know, because I know from experience. I know from experience. So I know what it's like to pray over pain, to sow seeds in soil and I never heal. Because fantasy, it numbs you, but it doesn't free you. And scripture already warned you about that. Listen, it says, Do not listen to what the prophet and are prophesying to you. I have yet to heard anybody. Do not listen to what the prophets are prophesying to you. They fill you with false hopes. They speak vision from their own minds, not from the mouth of the Lord. If you live by it, you can eat. They ain't talking about me. They ain't talking, don't listen to me. Prophets that are prophesying to you. What is fantasy again? Y'all better stop playing. I didn't come to play tonight. I have a reality about the pastor. Not only that, let me expand. The time will come when people won't tolerate sound doctrine. Come on, Ty. That part is you. The time has come where I'm not tolerating. Instead, to suit their desires, they'll gather teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. They'll turn from the truth and turn aside to myths. Myths, huh? Didn't know that was in there either. I like to study over here, and I don't take it lightly. Family, myths are church code for fantasies. Feel good illusions packaged as faith. We unpackage that feel good hormone time and time again. Dopamine, so many times. Dopamine. What do we get out of that, Ty? A hit of dopamine is like a drug to the body. I remember when I would take sleeping pills, I couldn't sleep without them. And when I would take it, it sent me on this high, and I would get outside of my body. And the craziest thing, your body has a natural way of providing you those same things in reality if you tap in. But your leader sells you that. The same thing, what was happening to me is happening to you in your fantasies. It's happening to you in the illusion of heaven while you're spiritually suffocating right here. But over here on It Starts With You, that this ain't that. I'm not here to sell you suffering with a bow on it. I'm not here to dangle fantasies in your face while your soul is staying stuck. I'm here to warn you, to shake you up and remind you who you are. Righteousness ain't no fantasy. Alignment ain't avoidance. Truth ain't entertainment. You can't shout your way past reality. You can't tide your way around healing. You can't fantasize your way into freedom. It's not going to happen. It's not happening when you fantasize. Tonight we exposing that. We're going to kill this fantasy. We ain't saying get rid of fantasies altogether. But what's not serving us, we don't need it. We're going to confront those myths. And we're going to reclaim what living looks like. Right here, right now. I set the intention that I will live and not die. Come on. And even though fantasy feels safe, because you can control it, you create the ending, you pick the outcome. It's your mind's way of saying it's reality. It's too painful. It's too raw. So let me build something softer. Even if it's fake. I don't do that, Ty. Yes, you do. Argue with your mama. Yes, you do. Your brain is naturally wired for that. It happens automatically. Without your permission. Oh, I'm jamming over here. When life overwhelms you, the nervous system kicks in into survival mode. I'm showing you how it shows up without you even recognizing it. And you escape mentally. Now it could be a good thing, but it can also be a curse. What can make you laugh can make you cry, because I'm a master. And I ain't shame in this. I'm a master disassociator. Because I was stuck in that fantasy for such a long time, I could tune you out right here in front of my face. So I know what it's like when you escape mentally. You rehearse false hope. You cling to one day. And what sticks with me when I say that, Ruth telling me about Mama Jackie would tell him time and time again, the woman would lie to herself more than a man could ever lie to her. Now I understand. It's your way to protect yourself against that heartache. It's your way to protect yourself against that fear of rejection, being ashamed or embarrassed. It's your way. Same thing in the church. God did not give you the spirit of fear. And I can't count on my hands how many times I made up illusions to stop me from suffering a heartbreak, or stop me from suffering with rejections, making excuses. Well, he probably don't want to talk right now, so don't call him. When it happens, your body, it gets a temporary hit of calmness once you get it, a false sense of safety. Have you ever watched, what's the name of the movie? It had Samuel Jackson and Halle Berry in there. And they was in there smoking, thinking it was crack, smoking it in a pipe, and they would hit it and they would just, oh. That's what's happening in your body. When you get a hit of that fantasy that you crave to make you feel safe, it soothes the fear. It takes the edge off. But you keep stuck because that crave is going to come back again. You're going to want another hit. You're going to want another drink. You're going to want another pill. You're going to want to go back to that toxic relationship. You're going to want to go back to the church. Even you know that man over there telling you something, but you know he living a lie because you've seen him. You've seen him sneaking out of the woman's house. And eventually, that anesthesia wears off and reality hits. Reality is still waiting right there, unchanged. Fantasy is your mind's way of coping with that. That trauma that shows up and that grief gets overwhelming. You start scratching with your crave. I just got to get me a drink. I just got to get me a hit. And the truth is disruptive to face head on. I'm an addict. I ain't saying that for me. I'm saying it how I go. I'm an addict. I'm a disassociator. I'm a liar. I steal. But in my aunt, it tells you don't run from yourself. Because those things that happen in your fantasy, they come with a price tag and it breeds despair. And when despair creeps in, your spirit feels choked out. Your body stays anxious. Your mind lives in loops of one day, but never this day. What can I do today? How you know, Miss Ty? When I get on here telling y'all about what ain't right and you should be doing this, it's because I'm living it. or I lived it. I have the experience as my best teacher. And I hear y'all talking about it now. It's in the experience, giving real life examples. I know you're watching directly or indirectly. But family, I'm not talking at you. I'm talking with you and for you. Let me show you how it snuck up in my life and how it can show up in your life. I said one day, life gonna make up for what I didn't get. I was out here thinking all the love, the validation, the protection I missed as a kid, it was gonna magically fall in my lap one day. Fantasy. So when Ruth showed up with it, come on. Guess what? Then one day, my kingdom spouse gonna show up and love me whole. I want somebody to love the parts of me even I was still avoiding. What I wanted. That ain't how it work. You know what? I can't wait the doc show up in this space. I cannot wait on him to show up in this mental black down space. Because how you live your life is going to be divine when your inner life still dodging accountability. How is that going to work? How you going to get the right kind of man when you all ugly on the inside? Opposite don't attract. You attract your likeness. And I'm going to say it and I'm going to keep saying it. If you're ugly inside, you're going to attract ugly outside. So I tell y'all my experience and what I went through in my life. And it was because I was ugly on the inside. Nothing happens by accident. And even though it was traumatic, I learned a lesson. Y'all ain't ready to hear these. Y'all ain't ready to pick up what I'm putting down. I wasn't trying to manifest a relationship, but I ain't even have one relationship with myself. I didn't even have the right relationship with myself. But then I said, one day I'm going to feel worthy enough to stand in my wholeness, to stand in my voice. I was waiting to feel ready, to feel worthy before I moved different. And when a man findeth a wife, he findeth a good thing. You don't have time to get ready. You're supposed to already be that. Do it now. And I'm not telling you something that I'm not working on myself. You can't do that in a fantasy. I could not work on Ty. I could not make the progress that I wanted to make in my reality in that fantasy. And I had all that stuff. And Cypher on the Matrix, when he said I want to go back, and he was talking to the agents, he was tasting the steak. He was like, I miss this. I miss living in the illusion. I miss the material. I don't. I want to feel whole, full, whole, and complete, without any inhibitions. You either own your seat at the table or you watching from the sidelines talking about one day. And I'm owning my seat. But we can't stop there because this thing runs deep. See, fantasy is not, it doesn't just live in church songs. It bleeds into your daily decisions. Have you ever questioned why you stuck in your life? And you're doing the same thing, getting the same results? Have you ever asked yourself? If you haven't, you should. But I have an answer for you. It's because you were sold your reality for a fantasy called one day. You're trying to do it your way. I was trying to do it my way. And one day keeps you stuck in that cycle, in that limbo. Because it's the anthem of fantasy. What does it look like in my lifetime? I'm glad you asked. I already been talking about one day. Let's expand on that. It looks like one day my breakthrough coming, but you won't confront those cycles. It looks like one day when I get up yonder, but you refuse to create heaven in your body, in your choices, in your now. One day is how religion oppresses, how it shows up as oppression. And it's spiritually bypassed, dressed up as procrastination. I always used to wonder, Ty, why are you putting this off? Because one day I'm going to be smart enough. Because one day I'm going to be brave enough. Because one day I'm going to have enough confidence. It's how white supremacy keeps you docile, selling you eternity while robbing your present. And you look up, here it is 20 years later, you could have done everything. And now you realize it's been in you all the time and you procrastinated. It's how fantasy makes you worship something over there and abandon you right here. Ty gonna give you the raw truth. You can't unhear what you heard. I've been giving it to you. I come transparent and all, whether you want to hear it or not, and you watch it on replay and you get irked at the sound of my voice, you're gonna get it. I'm gonna give it to you. But watch this. One day is a coping mechanism, a way to escape that discomfort of you not want to hear Ty's voice. The discomfort of reality by living in the illusion of a future relief. The gag is one day is never going to come because manifestation ain't birthed from avoidance. It's birthed from alignment. So when you catch yourself saying one day, pause, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm showing up in my life. When I catch myself saying one day, I'm going to ask myself, how deep are you in this fantasy, Ty? Is this your fantasy speaking? Or am I aligned enough to make this day the day I move different? Because faith without work is dead. Man, when I tell you it's so beautiful to understand and to know how this is showing up in my life. This is a way that I'm recognizing when I'm fantasizing. You was talking about the ways, Ty. The way, my way. Can you expand on it? Absolutely. Yes, let me go back to it. I'm going to get through for 2 hours too. Watch. Just watch. My way feels so good. They even had a song about it perpetuating. I did it my way. And it's temporary. But it keeps you stuck in that fantasy. Keeps you avoiding. Keeps you stuck in your ego. It keeps you stuck in your survival. It keeps you staying in a place where you're afraid to say the things that need to be said to tell the truth. The way. It agitates your illusion. But it's rooted in alignment and embodiment and real freedom to say what you need to say when these people out here doing the wrong thing. It gives you freedom to be who you are authentically. And to not have to put on a mask and afraid of who not going to talk to you. Because you stand up for righteousness. Listen, it says in Proverbs, there is a way that seems right to a man, but the end is death. And that ain't always physical death. We unpack that Adam and Eve. Go back down that timeline. Sometimes that death is the death of your purpose, the death of your joy, the death of your potential. So why you insisting on staying there when it's killing your joy? Why are you staying in that when you can't find peace? Do we even know what our purpose is? So tonight, let's break up with, let's break up. If it was a relationship, let's break up with fantasy. The part of it that's not serving you, we exposing my way. And we're coming back home to the way, truth, alignment, and we ain't playing no more. We ain't playing these games. Because let me tell you the truth, most of us been living trapped in my way, but calling it God's will. We've been stuck in that fantasy and labeling it faith. Let's circle to these definitions. Y'all know how I do. My way. The need to control. That's comfort disguised as clarity. That's your trauma writing checks your reality can't cash. It's building a life rooted in fantasy, shaped by fear, unmet needs, and self-preservation. The way. Alignment. That's the truth. Even when it burns, that's my art. The order, justice, reciprocity. Our ancestors and Kemet spoke of it. It's also what Jesus laid down when he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. But now that we know Jesus was a fairy tale, it was a fantasy. What is the way? I just gave it to you. Alignment. And notice he didn't say your way, he said the way. There's only one alignment. Everything else is fantasy. So if you got somebody saying something and it ain't fall in line with righteousness and you don't speak up about it, you in fantasy. Because moving the goalposts won't do. Tithing is over forevermore. You don't have to tithe to get no blessing. So if your pastor is telling you you're supposed to tithe, lies. And the truth ain't in him. The way at the time, and I'm using it allegorical, said that tithing was appointed to the Levites. And the ways and what they demonstrated, because they wasn't following the way, it was taken from them and you forevermore. So when the pastor gives you the fantasy that you give a tenth of your income to the church, when he tell you how you supposed to break, Rue was telling me about the first fruit that people were giving their whole checks as first fruit. That's not what it was intended for. That's their way. It's not the way. Come on, Ty. I'm eating tonight off of my own. Real alignment, real embodiment takes accountability. And pastor, open your heart. And I'm not just talking to the pastor. Open y'all's heart. And I'm talking about all of y'all, whatever y'all calling yourself now. Y'all done start coming up with these names, being creative in that. Prophetess, evangelist, bishop, all kinds of names. We have to remember there's two roads in life. What are the two roads again, Miss Ty? Your way and the way. Ty, say it to yourself. And I will. It's my way or the way. What Jesus said, I got questions because I'm curious. What are these ways that you're talking about, Jesus? Now I know I'm asking myself these questions. You get answers when you ask powerful questions. So let's unpack it. Let's expand on the way. The ancestors, our ancestors, your ancestor. The blueprint for the way. What did my ancestors say Ty, the way was? I gave it to you. Truth, balance, justice, order, harmony, reciprocity. Your words, your choices, your energy all have to be aligned to truth and righteousness. But because there's duality, it's going to show up like Jesus told Judas. And y'all, when y'all painted him as a traitor. Lies. Not according to the text, that is. If there's any of these chaos, deception, selfishness, dishonor, they call it living isfet, the opposite of ma'at. So when they gave you, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, that wasn't new. It was stolen. Topic tonight up yonder. I think I can make it before 2. Let me give you some examples before I get off of here. You know Adam and Eve, I just unpacked them. My way. We'll eat from the tree and gain knowledge of our terms. The serpent told them, according to the allegory that is, a shortcut, bypass the divine order for personal desire. The way. If they would have stayed in alignment, trusted the process, received from God's timing, wisdom through embodiment, wholeness, and not rebel, they would have been able to go the way. What about Moses striking the rock? My way. Moses said, speak to the rock. God told Moses, speak to the rock. But Moses frustrated and reacted. He was reactive. And fantasy makes you reactive and not able to respond. He struck it instead, getting water his way, but losing access to the promised land. The way would have just been obedience to instructions, even when your emotions tempt you to act out of alignment. Relationships, my way. Manifesting a partner to fill a void, projecting fantasy, love onto someone instead of healing your inner wounds. The way, becoming whole within yourself first, so you attract, not chase. What is her name? Esther Hicks. Yeah, I can never think of her name. Got it tonight. Esther Hicks says you have to be in the vortex. You have to be tuned in and tapped in. And you don't have to go looking for nothing. It'll come to you. And you'll recognize love that reflects your worth, not your trauma. Oh, that's tea. Manifestation. My way. I'm going to create me a vision board. I'm going to say these affirmations. I'm going to detach from aligned action. I did this. Believe in positive thinking, replacing tangible steps. The way, aligning those thoughts, emotions, and energy and behavior so that I can manifest embodied congruence, not fantasy. Money and careers, my way. Chasing quick money schemes. Let me tell y'all something. Probably everything y'all done, I done done it. I'm just not about chasing. I don't think that I should have to chase. I don't want to be out here in these streets like no drug dealer trying to get nobody to buy no house. I don't want to be out here doing all that stuff. Selling insurance door to door. Chasing money schemes. It's not for me. Tithing as bribery. I know y'all say, Ty, when you gonna get off of tithing? I'm not, and I'm not. When I hear some of y'all say, you know what, we ain't supposed to tithe, I'll get off of it a little bit. Tithing as bribery. If you telling somebody they're gonna get a blessing based off of them tithing, that's bribery. I'm getting something in exchange for, that's bribery. Or thinking blessings come without aligned work. The way, operating in purpose, applying discipline, building wealth through integrity and aligned action. Let me tell you another reason I can't do the insurance, and I didn't like doing real estate, because you have to lie to people. I don't like lying to people. Not stealing from the church. Not having your family on the board at the church. And don't act like y'all ain't doing it, because I know whose of you are. I seen it. Manifestation. Y'all, first I was saying manifestation was not of God, but I just heard y'all talking about if you want to manifest your way, my way. Thinking replacing tangible steps. This is why Think and Grow Rich ain't it. It's more, it's out there than just thinking. Because you have to be in alignment. Your heart and your mind have to be on one accord. They have to be in coherence. It's in the feeling. The way, listen, the way is aligning your thoughts, emotions, energy, and behavior. Manifestation as embodied congruence. It's not fantasy. It's in the feeling. Love connection. My way. Scripted relationship, avoiding emotional risk. Loving in theory, but not in practice. The way. Mutual presence. Being present. Radical honesty. And love that grows through challenge, reflection, and embodied reciprocity. I was trying to do it my way, and I had it all wrong. All wrong. Family, we have to wake up. So again, so let's make it plain before we close this thing out. Up yonder ain't a destination, it's a distraction. It's a linguistic hustle to keep your spirit floating in fantasy while your power leaks out down here. I know it sounds good. It makes you clap, it makes you shout, survive another day. But I'm not in the business of offering spiritual sedation. I'm in the business of breaking chains and fantasies. Y'all say you want to break every chain. That's the business I'm in. Speaking my truth and being free spirited. That's the business I'm in. That's been one of the biggest chains that ever locked us. They locked us down with this chain. It's been one of the biggest. So here's your takeaway. Stop outsourcing your peace, your power, your purpose to one day or over there or out there. It's time to bring your spirit back here, back into your body, your choices, your now. Because up yonder has been robbing you from down here. But hold tight, we ain't done. Next time, we flipping the whole script. Give me something good. There. I'll take that one. We're talking about how to reclaim your reality, how to unlock and unhook from the fantasy to get you back towards alignment and build a life that feels like wholeness and not survival. We should be tired of surviving. So if you're tired of being pimped by the illusion that they've given you, because they've given us all kinds of illusion, and it could be confusing if you're not tapped in. I want y'all to tap back in, because over here we keep it real. Ty keeps it real, no matter who it is. My mama even recognized that. In reality, we keep it righteous, and we keep each other accountable. Let me leave you with this. Emotions can't be felt in fantasies. See, fantasies don't carry weight. It's hollow. It's safe. It's controlled. But life, that's where the raw emotions live. I ain't gonna even say raw. That's where emotions live. The healing, the breakthroughs. So I gotta ask you, is it possible that you've been confusing survival with living? Is it possible that your breakthrough ain't coming because you still hiding in fantasy? Is it possible that religion gave you the blue pill and you swallowed it and called it salvation? Listen, you ain't got to answer me now. Just sit with it. But what can I do? What can I do? I can tell you what you can't do. You can't keep lying to yourself, dressing it up as faith while your reality stays raggedy. It's not going to work. How you know, Ty? And for the millionth time, because I lived it. Everything that I name off, I had some experience with it, whether indirectly or directly, and most of it's been directly. But next week, I'm unpacking the topic of flipping the script. That's it for me, family. I got through right before 2. Stay grounded. Stay real. And as always, live your life. Happy Sunday.